A week ago, it was announced that third-party stat websites would no longer be allowed to publish stats on legends and augments for TFT Set 9, and today is the day of reckoning, the 19th. This is the original report, was the 19th, but I have heard conflicting reports about when exactly they will no longer be allowed to publish those stats, but I do believe it's today. That is the initial report. But either way, it's going to be very soon regardless. And the video we're going to be watching today, we're going to be reacting to is Mortdog III explaining why augment and legend data is banned in Set 9. This is a clip from last week, but I've put off watching it so that we could react to it today on the day of reckoning, the 19th. And I'll give my thoughts as we go through, but I have not actually seen Mortdog's take on this, but I'll give my brief take real quick here. I gave it in the previous video, but the longer I think about it, the more I am in favor of stats removal from the game, making the game a more enjoyable experience for the most amount of people, and allows the devs more breathing room for balancing a very complicated game. I've seen the take go around quite a bit that this is just covering up because they're bad at their jobs, and what I say to that is, I say their job is very hard, and anything they can do to make their job easier is probably going to be good for the game, regardless. I think TFT is so complicated, and that is so easily seen by the comments I get on my YouTube videos for whenever I make a guide, and people come in and they're like, I tried this and it went bad, and I did this and it went bad, and I don't even know what to say. All I can say is TFT is a complicated game. Because, like, I don't know what happened in your game, dog. Like, I don't know. There's like 1,000 decision points. But anyways, all right, I'll give more of my thoughts as we go through. But let's hear Mortdog
There
himself.
you go. That's my TFT Clips approved rundown of what's going on. Okay, so for those who saw yesterday, it was leaked / announced that with the release of Runeterra Reforged, third-party sites will not be allowed to share any data around the performance of individual legends. And within a month, third-party sites will no longer be allowed to expose the performance data for specific augments. Obviously, this has been a pretty controversial take. You know, a lot of...
So I guess the legend stats was what was referenced as the 19th. So I guess we will be getting the augment stats will not be available at the end of the month. Okay, so that's what we're getting. So Day of Reckoning, not quite here yet, but it will be soon.
People are like, why are you taking away information? Why are you... restricting things? How is a new player going to be able to get into the game if there's no way to learn? And I want to separate.
Here's a take I've also heard. Yeah, I do kind of agree about the new player getting into the game. It is helpful if you can look at stats. But also, doesn't that like train you to use using stats as like as the way to get better at the game, which it is not. You don't actually get better at the game by learning stats. You just learn what is good. But I guess that does help you get better at the game. That is a lens to get better at the game. But what I wanted to say about that was I've seen a lot of takes go around that like, now I'll not be able to hit master. Now I don't have a lot of time, and now I was wanting to hit master. I won't be able to hit that. And I have empathy for you. But also, what other game, sport out there does not require a large time investment in order to be at the top level of the game? I have empathy for anyone's situation out there who wanted to be a high rank in this game, but not having access to stats does feel like something that's going to gate them from doing that. I have empathy, but at the same time, it's just like that is like the point of competition. Usually the people who sink in the most time will be at the highest ranks, and it sucks being an adult, but it is, it sucks being an adult and not having time to play games all the time. It's just what it is, man. It sucks. But that's what I wanted to say about that. I have empathy, and I don't want to sound like an elitist or a gatekeeper, but like, isn't the top spots on the ladder, like Master Plus, isn't that supposed to be for the people who have the most time to invest into the game? Like, isn't that every game, every sport, unless you're just a high level talent? But I don't know.
Separate that a bit, because it's not about removing ways to learn. And in fact, we think the stats have actually done a harm to being able to learn. For example,
I
if you
agree.
remember back in the days before augments, before we had these crazy stat sites, what you would see is like person A, high-level player A, they would make a tier list of like, hey, these are the good comps, these are the bad comps, or whatever.
And then someone else would go, hey, you're an idiot. These are the best comps. And that's so much more fun than just like looking at deltas.
Same thing with augments, right? Like they might do a tier list of like, these are the S tier augments, these are the A tier augments, etc. And what was interesting is that other people would have different opinions. because it was subjective. A really good example of this going on right now is if you look at all the China high elo lobbies, the legend they are picking
TF
is Twisted Fate. They all love Twisted Fate. They're using Twisted Fate to...
Hey, we're all using Twisted Fate over here now too, man. I mean, there's a few ones that are good, like Vlad, TF, Poro, Orn.
Try to get the Pandora stuff. But if you look at all the NA Challenger lobbies, they're all picking Vlad. They're picking Vlad because they like that late game power, and they
This is a good point, actually, because they did nerf Vlad, and that's why people don't take Vlad as much.
believe the late game power and the augments synergize really well.
Yeah, Vlad's a beast.
So who's right? Who's right? And what's nice is it's healthy to have a good discourse. It's healthy to have a talk about like which one's right, which one's not, talking about the pros and cons. That's a healthy discourse. The problem is when subjective becomes objective and a stat website says Vlad 4.3 and TF 4.42. All of a sudden...
Yeah, this is the biggest thing I have a problem with. It's like with stats is even those stats don't even tell you that Vlad is better. Vlad is probably better, but as I said, TFT is a very complicated game. There are like 1,000 different decision points every game. And that Vlad could be better, but what's painful as a player is that when you have access to the stats, when you open up the stats and you feel like you should be doing something else intuitively, and then you look at the stats and the stats tell you, no, your intuition's fucking dumb, you idiot. Like Vlad is like down by like 0.7. That's like 0.7 worse on average. You're going to be, it makes your decision feel really awful because you're like, well, I really think it is Vlad. But then if you pick Vlad and you lose, you go, well, what that confirms to you is, don't trust your intuition, trust the stats. And the opposite, if you win, it doesn't confirm that your intuition was correct because like, who knows what could have happened in that game, you know? And you could have just won just based off your skill and had nothing to do with the augment you selected. You could have high rolled in that game. And then every game you go through that. Every game you go through that process. And every game further confirms that you should trust the stats because it's very hard to just like, it's really easy because you're able to look at data. But like, it's very hard to like conceptualize your intuition. And like, because like, even if you win off your intuition, you just feel like, hey, I won because I'm a good player. But when you lose, when you use your intuition, it's very easy to just like confirm that down to like, oh, I selected the one with the worst stealth. And that is what I don't like about TFT is I think what the fun part about TFT is the decisions you get to make throughout the game and having access to your stats on your second monitor. Because if you play in high UO, you feel like you need to do that. It makes the best part of the game, which is the decision points, feel not good. Like the decisions are made for you, and if you make your decisions on your own, you lose. You feel like you just screwed yourself because you didn't use the stats.
Sudden, all that conversation is gone. There's no more conversation. And even if the stats can be interpreted incorrectly, the point is most of our players will look at that number and go, objective truth. Objective truth, there it is. And that's not healthy, right? We want people having interesting discussions and learning from each other's and talking about the pros and cons and exploring things.
Yeah, and even if you have figured out something that's good, people will just shit on you. Now TFT people are very nice, but people will just shit on you or discount your opinion because it goes against the stats. You could actually be correct. Even if it doesn't communicate in the stats, because you could be playing in a different way, you could be, doing a couple different other things in the game. Maybe your playstyle is a little different than what most people play, and you could actually be very correct about something, but it doesn't matter because the stats not agree with you, and people love stats.
And if there's just a site that says no, 4.6 bad, that is what it is. Now you could argue, well, just because it's 4.6 doesn't mean it's bad, and you'd be right? I mean, I've been arguing that for ages. And people have mocked me for it. But that's not what most of our players do. Most of our players will look at that and assume it's bad and not take the extra step. I think this is a good opportunity for a lot of people to, someone like Robin who makes those guides, right? Those guides are going to be handy. And we're not banning guides. We're not banning anything like that. If players want to make an augment tier list that everyone's going to copy off of, great. They still will, right? People are
Yeah.
still going to. This isn't about forcing everyone to not look at sites. That's not what this is about. It's about creating
the
a
TFT
more
handbook.
subjective reality so people can talk about it and people can have conversation. That's the big thing here, and I think it's going to be healthy in the long term. I really do. I think it's going to be a good.
I hate when YouTube guides tell to go look at stats. Well, man, it's just because it's publicly available. What do you mean? It's a publicly available data resource. Yeah, go look at the stats. I mean, this is what we're all talking about, is because the stats are available, they are so powerful. It doesn't matter that even if the stats aren't wholly correct, it's something it's something objective you can look at. And a lot of people just don't have any room in their brain for anything past objectiveness if there is objective data out there. It's just what it is. A lot of people don't have a free way of thinking. It's just what it is.
Thing. Now, if it's not,
that's
we
why
can
people
undo
tell you
it.
to do that.
We can. We really can. We're not like so stubborn that we refuse to undo it, but it's just going to be a healthier thing. Someone asked, how do you plan to prevent people from using their own web scrapers to calculate augmented win rates?
Oh, this is what I'm really worried about, because I don't believe they're taking away the access to the API. Maybe he's going to say something contrary to that. I don't believe they're taking away the access to the API, and it is not that hard to get access to the API. I mean, now, I haven't had access in a while, but I used to have access when I did League of Legends stuff, and there wasn't really a vetting process for me to get in there. I just kind of said, I just applied, said I was using the data for a website or something, and they let me in. And I had access to all their API. Now, I'm not smart enough to do a lot of stuff with that, like make a website and that sort of thing. I don't know HTML. But I definitely, not that hard to get the access. At least it wasn't 5 years ago when I had access. So.
As far as I know, they would need access to the API, and they won't have it, and otherwise it'll be pretty inaccurate. So,
okay, so that's what he's saying, that they're not going to have access to the API. I had access to the API as just a pure nobody when I was trying to be a League of Legends analyst. Different life.
I have to trust the tech on that there are ways of blocking that, because I believe there are, and that's what they've told us. And to some of you who, like...
Isn't there just a way for them to just blacklist that part of the API or something?
I think another conversation that happens is like, well, you're hiding information, you're hiding truth. You know, it's never been good to hide truth.
Never good to hide truth.
That would be true if our goal was truth, but our goal isn't truth. Our goal is fun. Our goal is to create a fun game and a good community. And someone might say, well, does that mean you're prioritizing fun over competitiveness? And the answer is yes. This is bar none one of the worst and most...
Yes, dude. I've seen this take a lot go around. It's like, oh, man. Well, I've seen this go around a lot. It hurts competitive integrity, and that, like, you know, now, like, everyone's not on an even playing field. You have to play more time. You have to do that. I'm like, to me, that take, I'm just like, boo fucking who, man? Who gives a fuck? This game is played by millions of people across the world, and you know how many people care about competitive? Less than 1%. I am someone who is a competitive player, but I play this game for fun. Let me be clear. I've competed in tournaments for Riot. I have aspirations to compete this year. I will not be competing in the first tournament. I'm taking it easy right now. I will be out of town. I'll be in Austin for a bachelor party. I am the best man. No big deal. So I will not be able to compete in the first tournament, so I'm not really grinding hard right now. But at some point, I do want to grind hard and compete in a Riot tournament. And so even me, I don't give a fuck. I want the game to be fun, dude. And 99.99999% of people just want this game to be fun. And that's why I'm in favor of the stats removal, because I think it'll make the game more fun.
Egoist decisions you've made. So that transitions into the second half of this conversation, which is, look, I know I'm the public figure of the TFT team. I know I am. But reading over 60 comments telling me how much of an ego and how much of an asshole...
Yeah, Mortdog is not an asshole. Mortdog is a great guy. But let me just say, I'll say one thing that will give credence to people who do say that. They say that Mortdog's an asshole and Mortdog's blah, blah, blah. Mortdog is not an asshole, but he definitely overworks himself. And you can see that come out of him when he's streaming. I watched his stream last week, and he was being a straight dickhead. He was having a lot of bad games. He had been streaming for 8 hours. And he was being an asshole and super defensive asshole, honestly. Like, I'm just keeping it real here. I love Mortdog. I love Mortdog just as much as the next TFT player. But yeah, this dude needs a break. He needs to know how to turn the gas off because he does come off as a defensive asshole a lot. And especially for people who don't know him well, that can be very off-putting. Now, to me, I see that. I'm just like, man, Mortdog, you got to take a break, dude. Because I've known Mortdog for years. I don't know him personally, but I've known him for years, and I trust him, and I know he has good intentions. I know he's a good dude. He's the best fucking game developer on the fucking planet. And I trust him wholeheartedly with the game. There have been parts of my TFT experience where I have lost trust with some of the decisions they have made, but I wholly trust him with the game and his team. But he definitely comes off as a defensive asshole, but I don't think that's an ego thing. I just think homie just works too hard. I mean, homie was working 10-hour days a week for weeks straight. 100% they were doing that leading up to launch. And then he was streaming 8 hours a day on his off days. Bro, what are you doing? I can't stream more than 3 days in a row, man. I get so I have to be off camera, man. I have to not be public facing. Yeah, homie just works himself too hard, and that's why he comes off that way. And I think he just some weekends, man. It's okay to not stream, man. It's okay, bro.
All I am is
he's got kids and stuff too, man. He just is so overworked.
Really demotivating, admittedly, because I didn't make this decision. I hope you understand that. Like,
it's made by a bunch of people. Yeah,
but I don't make every decision in the world. You know that, right? Like,
yeah, this is really silly. I hate this take. I hate this take. It's like people who've never had a job. Whenever I used to manage a water park, I used to be a water park manager. I was the head of the water park. It was 120 employee. No big deal. I was 19 when I started that job. No big deal. Opportunistic. It was just a thing. But whatever. But I had a bunch of employees, and like there was this like thing going around that I promoted my friends because a lot of my friends did get promoted. And like, motherfucker, you think I make that decision? Even though I'm the head of the water park, I have bosses, and I have like 5 other people who have a vote in this decision. And like, I would make this so clear to everybody, but still, if one of my friends became part of the leadership team or became part of the lower or the mid-level leadership team, it was always like I made that decision. Like, motherfucker, dude, there's like 8 people I have to go through to make this decision. And yes, I'm in favor of the decision. But like, dog, have you ever had a job before? I guess you have because you work for me. But like, yeah, that's like a big like never had a job energy. When I hear people say shit like that,
I'm just one person on a team of 150.
That's what I'm saying.
But like, take that hate that you have in your heart and like, go do something else, man.
That's what I'm saying.
But seriously, I don't mind being the human shield for my team because I love my team and I want them to be happy. But like, for you to call me an arrogant asshole who's too cocky to undo his own, it wasn't even my decision.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Dude, there's so many fucking delusional people out there. There was this dude who worked for me. I won't go too deep into this, but there was this dude who worked for me. He had worked there for like 7 years. He had worked there for like 3 years longer than I had. He had already been working there when I started, and I rose through the ranks immediately because I was really good at my job, and it was just really good timing. It worked out for me. But the management did not like him. And whenever I got into power, when I got into the position of power, I promoted that guy 3 times. I promoted him 3 times because he actually is good at his job. And I didn't have like this weird bias from like when he was like bad at his job a few years ago. I saw him for who he was. I promoted him 3 times, and he was the ringleader. He was the motherfucking ringleader. So maybe I should have promoted him, but he was he was good at his job. He was the fucking ringleader of the people trying to like talking shit about me. He was the fucking ringleader. I had to pull him aside. I was like, motherfucker, I promoted you 3 times. 3 times. It's still, you're out here talking shit. Like, what is this about, bro? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, so many people are so delusional. But yeah, I promoted him 3 times in 2 years, and he had been at the company for like 5 years before that and had not been promoted a single time. And he had this whole time, he had aspirations to get promoted. And I said, hey, John, you're doing a great job, man. I will promote you. And I did, and we did, you know? Anyways,
again,
so weird.
I support it, and I back it up, and I think it's the right decision. But like, sorry. And again, I don't know why you want to hate me for that. Like, I get it, but I think this will be good long term. But again, like everything we've ever done, right? We have a hypothesis. We'll be honest and transparent about it. And if we're wrong, hypothetically, you know, it's just like it ruins the game, it creates weird social circles, we'll undo it. We will. Just like we've done in the past. We've proven many times at this point that we're not so cocky and arrogant we won't undo things. You know, I've gotten a lot of crap for whether it was the Void patch all the way back in set 1 to Lee Sin's hero augment to whatever. I've definitely taken my share of like licks of I've been wrong, but
this
usually
music
when I'm
is
wrong,
getting me
I
hyped.
admit I'm wrong. It might take a bit, but I do. I come around and I admit I'm wrong because I'm human. I don't know. That's the quick high level rundown. But again, to me, the big thing is subjective versus objective. It is healthy when people are debating what is the best trait, what it's not. It is unhealthy when people go, stat says bad, therefore bad. That's the big thing I support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love that.
So there you go. That's my TFT Clips approved rundown of what's going on.
I'm just vibing to the
And
music at this
again,
point.
Let us know once it happens. Let us know how it feels. I think wait to see what happens, but yeah. Well, we still have access to high-performing team comps. Yes, it's
Yeah, bro.
it's literally just augments we're trying for now. So
I don't think they ever need to get rid of stats about team compositions because the augments and items like have so much variance towards how comps perform. But I think augments are less so.
unit stats, comp stats will all still be okay. Like I said, people can still make tier lists. You know, if War Week happens again, trust me, it'll be obvious.
No!
This isn't about trying to not balance the game either. This isn't about hiding balance.
Yeah, you don't need the stats to know what's going on with War Week, man. You build a static shiv and a QSS. Woo, that boy wins every fight.
We're still going to
You know
be
what I'm saying?
balancing the game. Nothing's going to change. It's just we want players to talk about it more. Why not? Why just augments? Why not everything? Because we have
The
to take it
coffee's
slow
hitting
and
right now.
steady. If this ends up being a massive success, maybe we will do everything.
Maybe they will. I don't think they need to, but
Okay.
we love you, Mortdog. All right, anyways, that's pretty much it, guys. I agree mostly with Mortdog here. Hey, guys, put your thoughts down below. I did this video last week. Let's see how people's thoughts have changed. Yeah, I think a lot of the takes were, it was very mixed, what the takes we got last week. So I'm curious what the takes will be this week. Now, players have still been using the stats. You know, you watch Soju stream, he pulls up the stats. Let's confer with the stats. But that will not be happening soon. Man, the coffee is hitting, guys. I don't normally drink coffee. I normally drink tea. And that's why we're feeling a lot of energy right now. So thanks for coming by today. Hey, guys, I stream on twitch.tv/TrajanTC. So, hey, click that link in the pinned comment below. I would love to see you there. I'm really trying to grow my Twitch. Taking a little bit of a break from streaming. Just having some mental, occasionally I have some mental troubles and I don't want to be on camera as much. I still film videos because that's no big deal, but to sit in front of a camera for 10 hours sometimes, I just know when it's not right for me to do that. So you may have not seen me streaming a lot lately, but I do stream a lot. But I know when to take breaks. Mortdog needs to learn when to take breaks, man. I love that man, and he needs a break. But anyways, all right, that's it for today's video. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. I love you all, and I love TFT.